Hey guys, welcome back to another Oddpal video. Today I want to talk about what got me into the hobby of collecting watches. It's not a story that I'm terribly proud of, nor is it one that's super interesting, but I do want to share with you as is what led to my current state of the collection. Cut! I just stole the intro and outro of my two favorite YouTubers. Let me give you the drum. So, what got me into watch collecting? I think it can mainly be attributed to three different things. I'm 27 right now. I graduated university about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And the very first instance of when I got into contact with wristwatches was during the summer of 2018. I listened to a lot of hip hop music, and there was this one song back then by Rich the Kid that had the lyric of AP two tone, and the rest of it I don't need to mention. And I just thought like it was two bars, and those two bars just has such a good ring to it that it's one of those things that it comes into your head before you sleep. And sometimes when you're in the mood, you're feeling like you're in a good mood, you just had a couple beers, it just comes into my head, right? And there was a buddy of mine who also knew that song as well. And the two of us bought matching fake APs on DHgate. They were AP two tones. I never wore it because it was way too big. It was those 42 millimeter ones. PVD coating, quartz, felt very heavy. I hated it, but I loved the look, and I wore it out to barbecue and a few things a few times. But that kind of got me into the world of wearing watches, although I never really loved that watch in particular. Now, the second instance was, I want to say, fast forward 6 months or so. I had a friend who his dad just gave him his collection, and in the collection there were things like LUC Chopard. It was a really big Chopard. There was Longines quartz. I think it was 37 millimeters, one of the older ones. And then there was also a Rolex Oyster Date, 34 millimeters. And back then, I didn't really know too much about watches, so all I could think of was, wow, that's so cool. Your dad had a Rolex, even though it's one of the smaller models that I wouldn't wear today. But to me, it was still so cool back then. And I remember borrowing it, taking a bunch of wrist shots and posting it, and it was a great time. And also, he had IWC. What is that model's name? It was this really big, is this very big chronograph? I don't remember the name. It was one of those very big, like, pardon my use of words here, but dinner plate looking watches. But that was his dad's pride and joy, from what I was told. So throughout that summer, we talked a lot about watches. I also did a lot of reading up and learning about watches, and just seeing what's out there. That really ignited my passion for understanding and looking into watches and reading news, watching YouTube videos, following Instagram pages, things like that. And then finally, this is the semester before I graduated. I was in this class. I remember it was a ethics class, and there was this guy, this international student, and you know how these international students come, just loaded, right? He was a stereotypical loaded guy. His dad owned a factory in China. He was just here to get his degree, go back to China, and take over the business. And he had a two-tone Submariner black dial. Back then, I didn't pay too close of an attention to it because I didn't know what I know now about, like, what year is it in, anything specific about it. It was a ceramic piece. It was a new piece. He said he got it pretty new. I don't know what year it was exactly from. But I remember borrowing it and just thought, wow, this is the coolest watch ever. Like, it is in gold, even though I wouldn't wear gold at that time, and I still wouldn't. I just thought it was so cool. And I remember a couple weeks after I saw that watch and held it in my hand, I started looking at articles online. And this is the transition towards me getting my first watch. So there was this recommended article to me. I think it was either a Blog to Watch or Hodinkee, talking about the Oyster Perpetual 39 the white and the black dial. I think those two watches had just came out in what was called Baselworld back then, which is no longer a thing. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like it's so simple. It's so, you know, reserved. It's not too loud, but also it's just such a sharp looking watch. And a couple weeks after, I went to the local authorized dealer, GWC here in Vancouver, and I tried on the Oyster Perpetual 39. It was too big for me at that time. I was a lot skinnier at that time. But I did try on the Oyster Perpetual 36 in white dial. And long story short, one thing after another, that then became a watch. However, that was not the first watch I had purchased. I'll talk about that in another video, but I'm also curious, how did you guys get into watches? I imagine my experience is very non-conformist. It's not something that people typically talk about, or I guess would want to talk about, because, you know, I started off with a fake watch. I started off by listening to rappers bragging about what they have in materialistic goods on their song. Usually the stories I hear are, you know, my dad passed his watch down to me, or I've been in love with watches. Like I had a Casio F91 since I was a kid. I did have a Casio back in the day. I don't remember what model it was. I got it from school. It was a black Casio. It was round though. It wasn't an F91. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you got into the hobby of collecting watches. I'm super curious if there's any one of you out there that has a similar experience to me. With that being said, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.